Well, this might be the NBA's hottest commodity, Paul George. We already know he won't be a Pacer after 2018, so hello. Wizards might want to punch that Paul George ticket. This is Sports Talk.
Live from Newschannel 8, this is Toyota Sports Talk.
Hello and welcome to Toyota Sports Talk. Big day in the NBA. We got a lot to talk about. John Wall says the Wizards are just one piece away. I agree. At least one piece away from getting to the conference finals. The question, should the Wizards do everything in their power to get Paul George, not just a little bit? Second question of the night, the first ever NBA awards show Monday night. Was it a swish or a brick? How'd you like it? I liked it. Drake was great, by the way. Call us, 703-387-1020. There's much more to talk about, too, by the way. 50 Shades in the building. Mark Gray, HSRN, Afro-American newspaper. What's up, man? Love the gray, as usual.
Appreciate you. How about them D.C. Grays?
How about them, man? I got to get out there. We were just talking about that, man. Got to get out there.
Friday night, Negro League night. It's free.
Yeah.
Can't beat that. Stuff for the kids. County house.
Atmosphere should be
Yeah,
amazing.
man. So come on out. Nationals Youth Academy. It's all good.
All right, so first question, Paul George. You know this guy. We know he's not going to be a Pacer after 2018. You hear reports John Wall is recruiting this guy. How much do the Wizards need to do, though, to try and get this guy in D.C.? If you even think he would be a good fit in D.C.
Wasn't there one of us sitting up here that did after the game, the big show, Sports Sunday?
Yeah.
A few weeks ago that you know, we needed Otto Porter to play big in the playoffs so that we could get Paul George.
I remember
so,
that.
yeah, to the extent that you have enough chips left and enough cards in, it's time to go all in. But if you're the Wizards and you've been so poorly run and made so many bad decisions to give away your draft picks and get nothing in return, though you did clear cap space, you don't have the assets to get them. And if I'm Indiana right now, do I think that players like Kelly Oubre and Otto Porter are cornerstones to us getting back to where we are? Because Indiana's not a town where you look into the rafters of Conseco Fieldhouse, you're going to see an attendance championship banner. I mean, you may not see a world championship banner, but you're not going to hang one there. And if I'm the Pacers and, you know, that Donnie Walsh and crew and, you know, Kevin Pritchard, who know a thing or two about winning, I listen to the Wizards as I would listen to anybody, but I look at the viability of Paul George right now to the Wizards. If I'm Indiana, they behind Boston. They're behind Cleveland. They're behind so many teams. I just don't know if they can pull it off.
So you just don't see Paul George going to Washington just because on assets alone, lack of assets alone.
I think you could get him here and sell him. DC is a great place when you win. It may not be Los Angeles as far as the opportunities away from the floor, you know, but you could do a lot worse than being the number 2 or number 3 guy here. Even if or, you know, number 1 when they put your name on the side of Verizon Center. you could be that dude. I don't know how John Wall would feel about that.
The Great Wall of Chinatown.
Exactly. But all things being equal, I don't think, A, they have the assets, and B, it is an attractive pitch that they could make if the business side could work with the Pacers.
Let's say Paul George, in a perfect NBA world, Paul George, you know, is acquired by Washington. Is this team Eastern Conference Finals bound or
well,
NBA
they're a contender,
Finals?
man. Let me tell you something. That gives you a big 3. We've seen
Don't
that.
get me started on
the
that,
champs have a big 3. Cleveland has a big 3. You know, you got to have a 3-headed monster that can score. They've got 2. If we were playing a hand of spades or bid whist for those of you of a certain age, you know, we got 2 in a possible. And that possible is possibly Otto Porter. It could be Kelly Oubre, but you do not know. Could be Chris Jenkins.
Here, this is interesting right here. You talk about big threes of the league today. Think about every single big three, okay? Let's talk D-Wade, LeBron James, and then you have Chris Bosh, okay? I was talking about this with my producer today. And then you have, in Cleveland, LeBron James, then you have Kyrie Irving, and then you have Kevin Love.
Right.
You look at those big threes, there's always the last of that three that's not quite a superstar, if you will.
I think you're selling Chris Bosh short.
Chris Bosh was a superstar, but he was the least attractive out of the three. No,
only because he played in Toronto, and it was a north of the border thing coming out. And you had two transcendent personalities like LeBron and D-Wade, who were bigger than they were on the floor, off the floor. Bosh was understated, but you look at his numbers, his productivity, his ability to, perform big in big games before his body failed him. Right. I mean, he was not along for the ride.
That third is always contributing. Right. But he's not. He's not as sexy as the other two in the big three. There's always one. There's always one that's not as sexy as the other two.
Oh, well,
besides the Boston big three with Paul Pierce, KG, and Ray Allen. But if you think about big threes, let's go back to Chicago, where you had Mike, you had Scotty, and you had Dennis. Who's the least sexy out of that big three?
I didn't know that we had morphed into the Justin Timberlake phase of the program, boys and girls. I mean, wow. Where does sexy fit in on the road to a championship? If you got a big three and you got somebody that's a workman-like player or a glue guy that does the things and then can get you a double-double, who cares about being sexy?
I'm sorry, Mark. I need sexiness if I'm going to win a championship.
Yeah, but the good girl is the one that stays with you all the time. Sexy is a passing fad.
I'm sorry.
She'll leave you for Miami. Standing at the altar in Cleveland.
I'm sorry, man. I need that third.
Twice.
I need that third in that big three to be a Rihanna. All right,
grasshopper.
So let's move on. Okay, so Phil Jackson, congratulations.
Yes.
Congrats to you.
I woke this morning and Christmas came just before July. Yes. It was like, Philip, you got to go. Look, my whole thing with him was, there's been a certain abrasive quality to him.
Yeah.
Well,
he's falling asleep at workouts.
And even before that, man, I just think it's time for everybody involved, for Phil Jackson to just go ahead, retire to Montana, smoke on his peace pipe, and, make calls and try to reconcile with Jeannie Buss. Because he was an abject failure when it comes to making the moves that made the team a contender. He did some cosmetic things. I don't necessarily disagree with the Carmelo Anthony contract, because you're New York, you got to have a star.
Right.
The handling of Porzingis was just absolutely asinine, ass a 30 if you really want to get right down to it.
Well,
you don't do a guy who you're going to possibly rebuild your franchise around, then talk about trading him and devalue him. It was just a comedy of errors. His ego got the best of him. Phil Jackson, tremendous coach, one of the best all time, front office executive, one of the worst of all time, only to be outdone by his owner, who is clearly the worst owner in the NBA.
We're not done with this topic. There's another fan out there who's just as happy as you are. We'll hear from him coming up on the other side of this break when we come right back. Stay with us. Yeah.
You just found out the Knicks just fired Phil Jackson. What do you think?
He going today. That's good. That mean Melo stayed. That mean KP stayed. That mean we good. That mean we eighth. Let's go. I'm ready to get it. Where do I sign up? Where's Stephen A? I need to talk to him now. That's what oh my goodness. That's the best news I got all day, bro. That's the best news I got all year. Yes. I hate I'm mad that he had to lose his job, man, but I'll tell you, I'm a Knicks fan at heart. This smile is genuine, man. I feel good about this, man. I'm ready to run into somebody. Am I late? It don't even matter, bro. Phil Jackson gone?
Salute.
Our
So long, Phil.
nightmare is over.
So long, Phil.
But the trouble is, the owner stays.
Yeah, I know. That's the only.
Now,
You can't have everything, Mark.
Well, look.
You can't have it all,
How about
man.
this? My front office executive falls asleep in workouts, and the owner's playing a blues set during the course of the NBA draft.
And kicking out NBA legends at that, man. Kicking out New York
big
legends.
city of dreams.
Man.
Everything in New York ain't what it seems.
All right, so okay, the big trade today. Chris Paul going to Houston, and the Clippers get Lou Williams, Patrick Beverly. I don't like it. I wouldn't have gone with it.
They got fish heads and rice.
CP,
That's what they got.
CP3 is let's just to put it in perspective. He's the same. He came out same year as Darren Williams, so they're about the same age. You see how old Darren Williams is?
Fossils.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he goes to Houston. CP3 is not an up-and-coming guy, okay? He's not an up-and-coming guy. I don't think because you have CP3 on your team now that you're going to the Western Conference Finals, let alone the NBA Finals. And at the same time, you talk about Patrick Beverly, who was a young, fierce, up-and-coming point guard who was a monster on the defensive side of the ball.
He's like the basketball equivalent of the hockey goon. You know what I mean?
Patrick Beverly.
Yeah,
he
you
was
love
a
him if
goon.
he's on your team, but
Yes.
you don't like. So again, here's the deal. Neither one of those teams, to me, and Cleveland, Houston is a little bit closer to Golden State than the Clippers are.
Oh,
and we
most
saw
definitely.
that last year. But I heard some comments that Dan Dockich made from ESPN
I heard that
about CP3 being the reputation being a whiner and a difficult person to get along with.
Yeah.
That was his MO at Wake Forest. It is a part of his DNA.
Yeah.
That's a great part of the reason that the Clippers didn't excel. Also was his body. The best ability that any player gives you at the level that Chris Paul is paid to play at is the ability to perform. And every single year for about the last 5, at the start of the NBA season, I would tell people, Chris Paul's going to be injured at the end of the year. He'll have a hangnail, a trick knee, a hip flexor, some kind of malady that'll come up so that when you need him most, he's not at his best. And he deflects attention. He complains a lot. There's a very diva-like quality to that guy. He's a phenomenal player, but there are moments in your championship life where you have to suck it up and make enough plays to carry your team. We're always talking about, Kevin Durant and how joining the Big Three was a bad thing. When the money was on the line, who carried the Warriors this year?
KD.
It was KD. So there was no cakewalk when you got to the finals.
Right.
Chris Paul has been a gross underachiever. Blake Griffin has been a gross underachiever. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe you get with Harden and fill in some parts and can do some dynamic things, but Chris Paul's not going to win a championship as a leader. He's going to have to go along for the ride.
Let's
I
go
don't
to the
think he
phone
gets to ride in Houston.
No, I don't think so either. Tim is in Rockville. Tim, what's up?
Yes, hi, good evening. I just wanted to say if the Wizards cannot really go after Paul George, I think one of the issues is that Gortat, although a good player, they need to move Gortat out of there. He would be a good backup to Wes Unseld back in the day, but I think they need to get somebody who can be more athletic and replace Gortat, and I would not give Otto Porter a max contract. He hasn't shown me that he deserves a max contract. It's not about the money with the max. It's the adjective there, the max contract being something for players that should be able to carry a team, and he can't do it. Thank you.
All right, Tim.
And he's another one that you have to worry about injuries.
Hold that thought because we got to go to break. Coming up, we'll talk NBA awards. We'll talk more Knicks. We'll talk more Houston, CP3 trade. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Keith,
A little bit of time.
stay on the line. We're going to take your call. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Toyota Sports Talk here with 50 Shades. Stay woke, by the way. Let's go straight to the phone lines. Keith is in Centerville. Keith, what's up?
Hey, Hey, I think the Wizards, what they should do is get a super team together like the Warriors and the Cavaliers and everybody else. If the Warriors can do it, why can't the Wizards do it? I would try to go after Paul George. I wouldn't mind having Blake Griffin too. And those award, I don't know, that award show, I didn't think it was, that was a little bit I saw, I didn't think it was too good.
Oh, Keith, come on, man. I was a fan of it. And thanks for calling, by the way, Keith.
I haven't seen it.
It was good. Drake was great. Drake did a good job hosting. I just, Russell with the emotional breakdown when he won the MVP award. It was great. I liked it. It was in its beginning stages, though.
Right.
AI was there. Nicki Minaj with the performance, with some help from 2 Chainz. It needs work, okay? It needs work. There's no doubt about that.
It took a while for the ESPYs to evolve.
To get going.
And, now 25 years into it, you got Peyton Manning hosting, so.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I like the future it has in store.
They didn't need Drake. They should have just brought Shaq out.
Well, they had Kenny and Chuck and Shaq and Ernie.
Shaq and the Fool.
Let
him just Shaq the Fool.
Shaq the Fool. He would have loved that.
All right, JaVale McGee.
Sean is in Hancock. Sean, what's up?
How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you, Sean?
Hey, man, if you had to play for the Clippers, wouldn't you whine too? But I wouldn't sell the farm for Paul George. He's great. But how about 3 not big, instead of having a big 3, how about 3 decent players at the other positions and a good bench?
You know what?
That would make sense.
That'll get you to the conference finals.
Griffin, like the last guy, but.
Well, Sean, the only thing is, in this NBA today, if you don't have a big 3, you are pretty much.
And those guys are 3 all-star caliber, borderline superstar players that you got to have.
Yeah,
There's
definitely.
There's M&E, like Michael Jordan said.
Well,
and we ain't got no Michael Jordan.
There's no Michael Jordan in the league right now.
San Antonio has a team.
No.
And we got a good coach in Brooks. I way underestimated.
A very good coach. Sean, thank you so much for calling. We appreciate it. So that's the thing. I mean, big 3s, by the way, if we have time, I want to talk about that big 3 tournament. But in this league today, if you don't have a big 3, that's it.
You're right. And they got to be superstars. It can't be. There was a time when they put the big 3 together in Boston, and I had a conversation with Mark Spears, who was at Yahoo Sports at the time, and we talked about, Wizards got a big 3. You've got Gilbert Arenas, Caron Butler, Antoine
We were
Jameson.
talking about that today.
He was like, well, our big 3 is better.
Yeah, and when I heard about that big 3, I wasn't like, oh, okay, that's the big 3 that's going to take them all the way. I didn't say that. I mean, maybe Eastern Conference Finals, maybe. Maybe.
And can we just really be blunt about the dilemma that the Wizards are facing as it relates to putting a big 3 together? You don't have the transcendent personality like the LeBron or the Dwayne Wade, who can recruit those kind of players to D.C. And then the perception of futility with the organization. I mean, this was the best season in 30 years record-wise.
Why is it that when if John Wall, because you just say, well, the Wizards don't have that personality that could draw somebody. Why can't John Wall be that personality? I mean, you're talking about an all-star, 3-4-time all-star, I believe. Led the Wizards to their best season in recent history, hit that big 3 in Game 6. Why can't he be that superstar? In fact, I was upset when he wasn't regarded as a possible candidate, or his name wasn't mentioned for MVP.
Yeah, man, he should have been on that short
to
list
me,
of people.
he doesn't get enough respect.
And see, there's your point, Bob, right there. He didn't get the proverbial trip to the city to be mentioned as a nominee for MVP. Scott Brooks got overlooked as a nominee for the Coach of the Year.
Way overlooked.
When there's a perception like that, the reality is it's difficult to put your big 3 together because the superstar talent doesn't feel, even if they do their thing, they're going to get the accolades and all the bells and whistles that go with being a superstar celebrity and even contend for a championship.
And I can talk about this all night if this show were an hour, but we got to go to break. Coming up, final thoughts with 50 Shades. I like the NBA Awards show. I liked it. I DVR'd it. We'll see you on the other side.
I like Bad and Bougie.
Welcome back. Negro League night on Friday, DC Grays, right?
That's right. We're going to be out there. They got old players, and the cool thing about it is, you know, age is catching up to those legends, so you're not going to have a chance to really get out and meet them for much longer. And then you got all kinds of stuff for the kids, man. So great time for everybody, and the best part about it, y'all, is free. You can't, you know, you engage your kids, family outing.
Ooh,
and
free.
last time I was here, I was going out to throw the first pitch to start the season.
Did you throw? You threw that pitch, right?
I sure did.
How was it?
Man, I aced it. It was just a bit outside, but
Well, can I tell you something? You aced this show tonight, as you always do.
Not me. I'm working with greatness.
We'll see you next time. Yeah, right. Stop playing.
It's the father Fitty right here, y'all.
I am.
You know what I'm saying? What is that?
I'm the father.
5-0.
I'm the father.
Fitty Shades.